Hi, Barry Drago here from TCADS. Today I'm going to show you this little handheld remote that we built. We originally customized it to work with the Decimator MD Quad and MD Duck because they have a GPI port. We also made it more general purpose as well. You'll notice the labeling on it refers to the MD Quad on one side, the Duck on the other side, and what functions there is. But there is also a generic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 push button GPI. It's very thin. It is literally board thin. Has an RJ45 on the back of the unit. For today's discussion, we're going to talk about the GPI trigger on it. Let's go to the menu. You notice that GPI port 1 is set for SDI input, port 2 is set for HDMI, port 3 is set to rotate through 3 different aspect ratios, port 4 is for the tally red, and port 5 is for the tally green. That's all standard in the monitor. You can change that as you need to. We have a simple remote here that'll work. So how did we do that today? Not all the pins on this remote lined up with this monitor. So we have a couple small interface boards. And we'll sell these as a kit with an RJ45 jack and a screw terminal. So Phoenix connector here. 2 of these boards you can put into a little shop box, and you can cross over the proper wiring pattern. So there's 5 GPI ports here, and again in this case they didn't 100% line up with the monitor, so we changed the pattern. Alright, now we'll test the function with the monitor. We have 2 other monitors just going to repeat the SDI input. This monitor has SDI and HDMI, and then we'll rotate through the aspect ratio, and then we'll show you the tally. So I'm simply going to press button number 1 here. You're going to see it switch to the first input, which is the color bars you were looking at a second ago. And we're going to press number 2, and the GPI trigger will switch to the HDMI input, which is a different source in this particular case. And there's that video playing back there. Now we're going to hit the aspect ratio, move the cable out of the way. It said aspect ratio 16:9 if you didn't catch that. Now it says aspect ratio 4:3. And again, we're just triggering the GPI. This is internal aspect ratio changes in this particular monitor. Now it says aspect ratio native. And in this particular case, it's a native HD signal, so it's going to go back to the 16:9 format. Look at the upper right hand corner, tally. So now we have the red tally, and we're flashing that on. Now if you remember from our menu, this should be the green tally. So a simple lightweight trigger to trigger GPI. There's a lot of things that have GPI triggers that people just don't use, or they just don't know how to build a simple remote that would be convenient and small and fit in their pocket. So just to show you how rugged this is, it is a very thick circuit board with a good cover that's not going to rub off. If these legends don't mean anything to you, you can use a simple 1 through 5 variation here. You can obviously add writable tape to the remote to change the label for your particular product. We're now looking at one of the original reasons the remote was built was to control the Decimator MD Quad. This is a great little unit, 4 SDI inputs, 1 SDI, 1 HDMI output to give you a quad. It also does full screen and other functions like tally. And most people don't know that and don't use that function. We'll lay that down here. So in this particular mode, if you go to your menu system in the Decimator, you'll see that the GPI trigger, and it's in configuration 1 at the moment, which is the right side of this control. We'll push button 5 here at the moment. We were in quad mode, and now we'll rotate through full screen mode. It'll go input 1, 2, 3, 4 every time you press the button. And it does that fairly easily, fairly quickly. And then we'll go back to quad mode. If I go back here and press button number 1, hopefully you'll see the tallies show up. It's the other function. Button number 2, tallies over there. Button number 3, tallies over here. Tallies on the bottom. Let's go do full screen here. And you'll see the tallies here. So that's a function internal to the decimator. Like I said, a really cool product that just needed a simple little handheld remote to take some of the other features and bring them up front. We'll go and switch to configuration mode 2 on the GPI menu, and I'll show you the difference there. Well, continuing on, so we went and we took the MD Quad box and attached it to a computer and changed it to GPI configuration 2, which will match this side. And what this tells us is if we press button number 1, we will go full screen on input 1. And let's let the monitor lock up. Button number 2, input 2 will go full screen. Button number 3, input 3 will go full screen. I think you're going to guess the pattern here. Button number 4, input 4 will go full screen. And button number 5 says quad split. It goes back to quad split mode. You can press it again, it's not going to change. So again, a very lightweight, very solid remote control, simple RJ45 cable, standard Cat 5 cable from off the shelf, plugged directly into the side of the MD Quad. There's also another product by Decimator called MD Duck. This product will also work with the MD Duck as well, directly without a cable. So there you go. Very useful unit, even if you're not going to permanently install it somewhere. On a switcher that takes GPIs, your editor that takes GPIs, your camera that may take GPIs. A lot of different places you could possibly use it in the field, even if it's not a permanent installation. But if it is a permanent installation, it'll hold up. This is, again, wrapped with a very, the same resistant material that you would find on any kiosk touchpad.